So what do you think, you see a lot of this growth and everything downtown, and obviously y'all have been a big part of that. I want to talk a little bit about the transition from the Putt-Putt business into the other family business and the decision to locate that business downtown, and if that was a difficult one.
Yeah, and what was it about that sexy Pledges outlet building? I remember Stephen Turner talking about how downtown Rock Hill was so dead in the 90s that you could lay down in the street and be perfectly safe. So what was it about that building?
Well, when I sold the Putt-Putt, I worked for a small regional collection agency, and that got me into the collections business. I'd been in it in the early, mid-'70s, and I was desperate. Both my kids were hungry every day, and I had to find a way to make money to pay them, to buy them food. And so I went to work for a small regional agency, but it was not managed well. And I said, we can do this. So a guy that worked there, Neil Fudge, the Edgemore Fudges, he and I started Williams Fudge in '86. And so we started with one client, and we built it. We've got 1,500 colleges today. But we were out to BTC. We started a business technology center. David Vipram was out there, and it was a small business incubator. That's how it opened. And then it turned, with a change in the leadership of the company that owned it, it turned into just a regular business meeting. But working with Skip Tuttle since '87, and he and I were partners at the University Center, we built a building in Tech Park and started watching Rock Hill grow. And the first Tech Park was out there. And from there, we grew the company and everything, and it just really expanded. We ended up moving out next to Target behind McAllister's. We built a building out there, and then we outgrew it. And I was looking to build a building that overlooks Manchester Metals. And in doing that, Doug Echols came to me because Chad Echols was our in-house attorney at the time.
And Doug was the mayor at the time?
And Doug was mayor, and he says, Gary, how about taking the old Pledges building? And I said, no. Well, I said,
are you crazy?
No. I said no. I said no in a less polite way. We laughed about it. About 6 months later, now I'm a big Carolina man, as in blue.
Okay.
And so, but one of my clients is Duke University, so we went to Duke, and usually student loan collection areas are in the worst part of any building. Well, they had run them out of the main campus and run them down to some old warehouses, is the way it was described. Well, we went down to the Durham warehouses with the old Lucky Strike and everything. They were building a ballpark there, and the rest history. And they had remodeled some 100-year-old warehouses, and I walked in them and I went, wow. And so the one good thing Duke University's done for me, other than bringing us Matt Doss, was inspire me to go back. And I called Doug on the way back and said, Doug, let's talk again. We walked through the building, and I walked through with the bankers, and the bankers were mumbling behind me. I could tell that. And I said, let's do this. And so we found a partner who did the redevelopment like that. And he was out of Charlotte. He'd done several big buildings in Charlotte. So we partnered with him and since bought him out. But we redid the cotton factory, and I think that was a start. I mean, Stephen Turner worked years on that. Mm-hmm. But I think that was the start of, yes, we can redo this downtown. And I was glad to be part of that. And that's what really engaged me 100% into downtown Rock Hill, was that intersection where we, a little bit of paint and 312 windows, and you got a new building.
Mm-hmm. A little bit of paint.
Yeah. When y'all first opened that building, there was really nothing else downtown, especially on that side of Dave Lyle. And now you have that whole corridor behind where you are all the way to Winthrop. So what was the progression then to say, okay, did you just kind of move into the building and then look down the street and say, what about all this? Or
well, we were part of the group. We rented out half the space. Derek Close took a chance and came downtown with us. But Lee Gardner deserves a lot of credit. Mm-hmm. Lee then rebuilt the old, what started out as a credit union as part of Rock Hill Printing and Finishing, which is, Family Trust now. Mm-hmm. But that was their second building, and he tore it down, rebuilt it, spent a lot of money. And it really did a great job of the different facades. It's got 4 different sides to it. They're really
a gorgeous building.
Yeah, really is. And then we had a group of citizens that were working to support council, just a group of businessmen, women downtown. We'd meet and we'd talk and we'd talk, and then we'd talk some more. And nothing was happening. And Johnny Barnes and I got together and talked about it. And so we started a small group of people that really could make a difference. And we talked some more. And finally, you know, we were trying to get Rock Hill Prevention up and going again because, I mean, it burned twice and the city had finally tore it down. And then I called Skip Tuttle. I said, Skip, let's do this. And he answered me about a week later. He says, okay, I understand tax credits. I was good at tax credits. I understood them, and Skip was a good developer. So we went together and put a bid in. And the city chose somebody else, but part of the city council's requirement was you got to work with some local people. Well, they brought us in, and we soon found that they had a great song and dance, but they couldn't deliver. So eventually, over a period of a couple of years, by 15, Skip and I had taken over the leadership of it and started redeveloping it there, working hand in hand with the city. Doug Echols, still mayor, and David Vihan, and we met with them weekly. And to redevelop that entire area, and started with the building, and we worked out a good agreement, a master development agreement, and that's the same master agreement that the former Panthers property owner was supposed to sign, and so we know exactly what that development was when that deal started falling apart. All you had to do is look at the agreement. I mean, the agreement spelled out what everybody's responsibilities for it, and we had to uphold our side as well as the city. David Vihan had to uphold their side. So, you know, we're developing one parcel at a time.
Yeah. And that sports and event center is absolutely phenomenal.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, world class.
For right here in Rock Hill, it's phenomenal.
I mean, 4,000 to 8,000 people every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
And again, the Lowenstein building specifically, I mean, obviously, you look at that thing, it's like a monument to, you know, American industrial might. But at the same time, when you were looking at it, that was like derelict beyond repair. Was there a window in the place?
Building. I mean, they built buildings better back then. And I mean, it was solid concrete and well put together. The columns and everything. It was a well-built building. I mean, there was nothing wrong with it other than the city, as they owned it, didn't take care of the roof. And so it had a lot of water damage and things like that in it. But you could see it was a sound building. But we had to redo it according to state historical standards, National Park Service. So the state SHPO looks at all that, but then they sent it to the National Park Service for our credits. And so, you know, for every dollar we spent, we've got about 40 cents credit on tax returns if we redevelop it. It's
to the historic standards. Yeah,
I mean, we could have built a Class A new building cheaper than remodeling the cotton factory.
But that wouldn't be half as appreciated from the community like me.
Right. And so a Class A building versus that, but then we got about 50% tax credits. So we actually built it for about a third or about 25% less than what we could have built a new building when you net it out. So the same thing happened, you know, with the University Center is a state mill credit. It also is big box credit, like the old Kmart, Walmarts that are empty. The state provides credit for them. And it's on the national register. So all those credits all came to play as part of rebuilding this. I mean, it was more expensive than a new building, but when you net it, then it comes out a good deal, so we could offer lower rent to Charlotte businesses to come down. And that's where we got Atlas Copco and several other, Nucor Steel and several others to come to Rock Hill because we had such great rates.